Buying makeup on Amazon is overwhelming. Searching through thousands of reviews just to be even more confused and wondering if what you're buying is real or fake. Imagine if you had to do that every time you bought groceries, it would be chaos. But with the convenience, prices, and fast shipping begs the question, is it worth figuring out? I'll be testing all of Amazon's best-selling makeup and giving you my 3 crucial steps to make sure you do not end up buying counterfeit product. The first and easiest trick to remember to prevent buying counterfeit is to check your buy box. If you don't know what the buy box is, if you're on mobile, when you sort of scroll down to add the product to cart, it'll tell you what the product is shipped and sold by. So say you're buying a product from Maybelline, if it says shipped and sold by Maybelline, that means you're in the clear. It most likely will not end up being counterfeit, but if you see that it's shipped and sold by sort of an unknown name, a company you've never heard of, that's a good sign that you should not buy from that seller. This is a great example of a pro shopping on Amazon is brands like this that aren't very easily accessible at Sephora, Ulta, in store. Some of my favorite sponges ever, these super soft Paw Wonder Blenders. When Real Techniques changed their sponges, I switched over to these. They are way cheaper. I got this for 10 bucks and you get 6 blenders in here. Sometimes they have sales and makes them even cheaper. They're latex free. They're super duper soft right out of the package, but once you get them wet, they're even softer. I use these every single time I do my makeup. You probably see in literally all of my applications. These are the blenders I'm using. They're top notch. First product is the best-selling primer on Amazon, which I've surprisingly never heard of before. This is from the brand Touch in Soul. No Problem, interesting name, base. I decided to get the redness and pore correcting base. They do also have different versions of this, but this green spoke to me as a fair olive. This is supposed to be extremely smoothing, pore filling, and of course this one is going to be very redness correcting. I was very surprised by how pigmented this little green guy is. It is quite a liquidy formula. It does have fragrance in it. I bought it and I did not realize that. It smells really clean, like sort of like laundry detergent-ish, which I kind of if they just took the fragrance out of this, it would be so good. It surprisingly did not give me an allergic reaction, but if you are sensitive to fragrance, be aware of this. But oh my gosh, this was amazing on my skin. It corrected my redness extremely well. I'm really excited about this. One thing is the fragrance. Let's come on with the fragrance. I have a couple different best-selling concealers, starting with the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. This is a classic to me and one that I was already familiar with. This is full coverage, it's creamy, it's blendable. If you have more dry to normal skin, I think you would really like this, but the original camo was also on the list, which is definitely more of a matte finish, but this for the price is amazing. It just feels so high-end. It really does perform like high-end concealers, and for the price, you cannot beat this. I also have the Covergirl True Blend Undercover Concealer, which is another similar concept. Has this big fat doe foot applicator on it. It is a very full coverage formula as well. This one is, I would say, almost a bit thinner. I like this one on my face. Not my favorite for under the eyes. I do find that it creases a little bit more than the e.l.f. one, but both of these I think are really good picks. I actually ended up with a couple different foundation options. First being the Neutrogena Sensitive Skin Serum Foundation. This was on the bestseller list, not near the top. A lot of them I couldn't try because I have a lot of allergies to fragrance and preservatives. Still did not like this one. It was super thin. The shade was just off. I don't really recommend this one. I feel like serum foundation wise, there's probably better ones out there. But once I put this Laura Geller Baked Foundation on top of that Touch in Soul primer, it was perfection. It was so smooth and beautiful looking. This is the Baked Bounce and Brighten Powder Foundation. I have the shade Porcelain. This isn't a totally matte formula. It has a slight sheen to it. So skin-like and beautiful. It's really luscious looking, and especially on top of the primer, my skin looked so smooth. I was honestly shocked because powder foundations can get very cakey looking and just not feel the greatest, but wow, I was really impressed with this combo. I can't believe I've never heard of this e.l.f. Perfect Finish HD powder before. I have my greasy fingerprints all over it, but this is just a sheer HD pressed powder. I was totally not expecting the texture of this. It's like very creamy. I think it does have some silicone in there, so it is super smoothing. I usually cannot stand most pressed powders under my eyes. this one looked amazing, and it looked even more amazing all over the face when I tested it a couple days ago. It's really oil controlling but super smoothing, and it doesn't give you that powdery look. I'm really shocked by this. I cannot believe more people do not talk about this for the price. Amazing powder, and you probably know how picky I am with powders, so this one it's a gem. This was definitely a nostalgic product for me, the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer. I used to use this a ton. I decided to get the light bronzer shade because they have this one for more fair skin. It's a little orange, as you can tell. This is obviously scented if you've never tried it. It is super tropical, which is nostalgic to me, but it's also kind of annoying. I'm just so over fragrance products at this point. Let me know your opinions on fragrance below. Are you yay or nay on them? This is super creamy and beautiful, has a slight shimmer, so it gives you really good amount of dimension. I would say this is like so-so for me. I do feel like there's a lot of great bronzers at the drugstore nowadays. This is still a classic for a reason, I understand. It's pretty good, just not my like absolute favorite thing that I tried. Before I move on, my second tip to make sure that you do not end up with counterfeit makeup is to check the storefront. So as I mentioned in step 1, when you go to the shipped and sold by little area, you can actually click on whoever's selling it and it'll show you their storefront. If it's a brand that you've never heard of, they may sell just a bunch of like random stuff, which is definitely a sign that they could be fake. Next, another surprise hit, e.l.f. monochromatic multi-stick. I had never heard of these. I would have never bought this in store. This is the shade Dazzling Peony. I'm just usually not a fan of these like little creamy sticks, but holy cow, this surprised me. These are like really creamy, more in like a satin way. They're not very oily, and the shimmer in this, it was so pretty. It actually went over beautifully my powder foundation. It's like a blush and highlight in one. Look how pretty it is. I am fully obsessed with this. I was so not expecting this. They have tons of shades. If you want an affordable glowy blush and highlight combo, I feel like this would work for a lot of different skin types as well. Check this one out from e.l.f. I also saw this e.l.f. Instant Lift Brow Pencil on the bestsellers, which I was intrigued by. This is the shade Blonde, which I was like, okay, it's not gonna work out. It's probably going to be too warm. This is probably one of the closest matches that I found to my own brow color from the drugstore especially. I usually like really thin tips, but I actually love this. It is a wider tip, but it is round versus it being sharp. Kind of like a little crayon. It makes filling in your brows super easy and quick. For the price, I might convert to this from my NYX Micro Brow. I love that one, but the shade is a little bit off, and I just love the creaminess and easeability of this. Is that a word? Easeability? I hope so. Alright, this got a little bit interesting. This is from Jula Beauty, the Eyeshadow 101 Cream to Powder Eyeshadow Stick. This had so many good reviews. It had tons of shades. I don't know if I just picked the wrong shade. This was a new one, which is the Meadow Shimmer, which is this really gorgeous light shimmery green, which I thought would be really fun for summer. And then it has this little blender tip on the other side. So as I was applying this, I don't know if it's because I had other products on my lid, but it was like slipping around. I tried to blend it with this, it made it even worse. So I ended up just tapping it in with my fingers, and the color payoff just wasn't great. I don't know, maybe it's this shade or maybe it's the formula altogether, just was not great, and it is feeling a little bit creasy on my eyes, even though it claims to be crease proof. I did put another shadow on top of it. I don't know about this one. I've heard so much about this Essence Lash Princess mascara. I was like, all right, I'm finally gonna try it. Okay, I'm really impressed with the look of it, I will say. It's definitely a drier formula with this more voluminizing style brush. I love the way it applied. I was really surprised. It's voluminizing. It's one of those fluffy looking mascaras, which really like flirty and pretty looking, but this has already been flaking on me since I've been wearing it. And I don't know how it can have that many good reviews. Like, is it only flaking on me? It's not possible. If a mascara doesn't wear well, it is like straight in the garbage for me. It's gonna be a goner. This little Wet n Wild lipstick was very, very affordable. Their High Shine Brilliant lip color in Mad for Mauve. Forewarning, this is like a very melty, creamy formula. It's kind of hot in here, and mine is basically melting. I think I picked such a good shade. I'm very proud of myself. It's this cool tone, Mauvey pink. It's the perfect neutral. High shine. I mean, they feel like a high-end lipstick for like $3. Make sure you store it well or else it melts, but I think that was a really gorgeous find. So I also picked up the Maybelline Superstay Vinyl Inks because I heard they're supposed to be so amazing, which, okay, I put one on and I do like this shade. This one is cheeky, I think slightly more of like a rosy mauve. First off, I don't like the smell of the Maybelline lip products. They're like overly vanilla in my opinion. It is super long lasting when I did wear it, but it was just like really uncomfortable on my lips. Felt like it was continually just drying out my lips. I'm just not a fan of this one. These Covergirl Yummy Glosses have also been all over social media. I had to give them a shot because this is from the Covergirl Clean line. This is the shade Lavender. Love my purples, you know. This is a super chunky little, I don't know what to call this. It's sort of like a lip gloss balm hybrid. It's glossy and shiny and gorgeous. This actually really reminds me of the Make Beauty lip balms that come in the little tubes. I feel like this is definitely a very similar formula dupe to that. It's a lot more sheer than I was expecting, so I might pick up a little bit more of a pigmented shade, but I see myself using this all the time just to throw it on. This has a scent that I really like. It smells like fresh and fruity a little bit. It's not too strong. Really like familiar smelling. I don't know if Covergirl like used this fragrance before and that's what I'm remembering, but this is really nice. I really do get the hype with these. As I was scrolling Amazon, I found some brands that were very interesting that looks like they're only Amazon brand. There's this aloe-based foundation that I found. It looks beautiful. It has no silicones in it. It looked like it was amazing for sensitive skin. I think it's a really cool little feature of Amazon, whether you like to shop there or not. You can actually discover like new brands you've never heard of or tried before that are kind of exclusive to selling on Amazon. And maybe if you have some like, you know, specialty makeup issues like I do with like allergies to fragrance, or maybe I know people can even be allergic to silicone, finding brands like that can be really cool. My third step is really important to make sure that you follow through with all three of these. Double check your cart. Right under their product it should say what it is shipped and sold by. If it doesn't, you could always click on it and check again. And then if everything looks good from there and you place your order, once you receive your product, make sure you're checking your seals to make sure that things are arrived sealed. I would not use them if they aren't, or if they're, you know, supposed to be. Reference the original website of a brand, see if the box is the same, see if the product looks the same, maybe open it and smell it, see if it smells weird or anything, and just really double check all of those things before you use the product. Make sure you do like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.